It's Saturday the 3rd of April, as Nelson. Out for an early morning birthday run. See all it's in bloom with the daffodils in the Hague. Just going to run up past the Cat's House area. That's the residence of the Dutch Prime Minister, who should be newly announced as Mark Rutte, because he's got the most amount of seats in Parliament. However, he's had a bit of a torrid time recently, because he's been accused of lying about one of the private conversations he's had about one of the potential ministers. I think the leader of D66 party, which is the second largest party, and they ended up with a vote of no confidence in him, which failed, but only narrowly. And this is in the middle of when they're trying to get a deal done and get a coalition together for the new government. So it's not the best of times following a successful election. Anyway, I'm sure they'll probably work that out. It takes between 3 and 6 months to get a Dutch government formed, because of the need, the proportional representation system always means they need to create a coalition of at least 3 parties. Might possibly be 4 in this case. Anyway, no police or reporters out today. Entrance. So I've been running through the Schevengse Bosjes, the woods near where we live today. I think I'm going to go up to the Madurodam, the model village of the Netherlands, and do a loop. Not too far today, probably 5 or 6k. My running's been a bit intermittent recently because I'm still nursing a right knee injury. It's got much more stable since Christmas, but I still worry that I could get into a position where I twist it again, like I did in late October, early November. So rather than risk that, if I feel any niggles, I take a break for at least 2 or 3 days. Anyway, I don't think that completely explains why I'm out of condition. So I'm doing lots of walking and yoga, but I definitely don't feel in good a condition as I did last year. Gigi and I ran an off-road marathon last summer. Some of that's to do with putting weight on. It's just too easy when you're in lockdown. Most things are closed to just have a snack or something to eat every so often, so got to probably get rid of about 10 kilos. Anyway, it's lovely crisp morning. Had ridiculous temperatures in the 20s. Last week it's only about 7 Celsius now. So we're going through a bit of a cooler spell over Easter. People exercising. So here we have Madurodam, little boy with his finger in the dike. So that's coming around Madurodam, the model village that depicts lots of well-known buildings and town centres, places from around the Netherlands. You know, full kind of also modern buildings, like they've got Schiphol Airport in there with 747s taxiing out onto the runway. They've got full-on trains and working harbour with big flood booms that come across every so often, as well as the famous places like the Peace Palace and so on. So it's obviously closed at the moment, along with everything else. So we've been in this lockdown for over 3.5 months now, since the middle of December. There's slight signs, so schools started to go back about 3 weeks ago, and hairdressers, and then shops you're able to book and go in, but only two are, I think it's 2 people, unless it's a really big shop, are allowed into a shop at a time. You can still only meet one person, which is a bit awkward, because when you're a couple, that actually means you can't meet anybody else. One person can come to your home, however, but that's it. So there's been a gradual easing in the UK, very gradual. I think it's sensible this time to not do it too quickly. That's what happened in October, was it just surged immediately. The lockdown finished. So again, schools are going back with massive testing, all self-testing kits in the schools for the pupils, and as of I think it was last Monday, so the end of March, up to 6 people can meet outside now. Still got to be distanced, or 2 households. So you could in theory have 6 people from different households, or you can have more than 6, but it only has, you have to only have 2 households, 2 bubbles represented. So I know a lot of friends and family back home have been meeting up in gardens and parks, which is sounds really nice. So the corona stats, we've had a big surge in Europe, something bigger than others, like France had to go down into another lockdown, although I was a bit surprised to find they hadn't sustained the previous one as long as they had, for example, here. Germany's also concerned. They've done pretty well throughout the last year, but I got told by a clinical friend of mine, he's a doctor, that his daughter works in ITU, that they're running out of beds in ITU, unfortunately. Got about another 1,500 for, what's it, population of 80 million. So the vaccine rollout is the one chink of light, and that's been going great guns in the UK, US, Israel. It's been quite slow here. So UK's gone over 30 million. They've had at least 1 dose. I think it's over 4 million. They've had their second dose. I think it's close to 5 million now. Whereas here we've got about it's about 2.5 million, which, although we're a smaller country, only represents about 15% of the population, whereas the UK, by comparison, is 55%. And there's been this massive drop in not just infections in the UK, but also hospital admissions. So if that's sustained, that is this evidence of the vaccines aren't just stopping infection, which was the kind of main thrust of their development, but it's actually stopping, even when people do get infected, then them from getting severe disease and going into hospital. So that's a really positive sign. That's been sustained now for 2 or 3 weeks. Netherlands we shot up about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, but there's signs that's not going up anymore. It did jump, so the Dutch figures are over 40 per 100,000 per day getting infected, whereas the UK is around it's 4,000, I think, 3.5. So that's equating to about 7 to 8 per 100,000. So about 5 to 6 times lower rate in the population. Now I know they'll talk about increased testing. To be honest, in the UK, almost doubled the testing in the last month alone. So it isn't just that, the testing effect. It does seem to be a genuine, hopefully provable vaccine effect, and that will hopefully give much more strength to the arguments and more pressure on vaccine supply to get it out there into the population. So I could have gone back to, if I'd been in the UK as an over 50-year-old, I would have got my vaccination during March. In fact, I could have booked an appointment at my local surgery, GP surgery, 2 weeks ago. But here it's so slow. It's mid-May, it's when I'm scheduled to even get a letter. So I'm not expecting much to happen till June. So hopefully by June or mid-June I may have had my vaccination and booster, and then probably choose that moment to try and get back to the UK. Well, at the moment, understandably, there's a real issue with flight and travel availability. Remember, travel was banned for January and February between the two countries, and now the UK is considering a ban on French travellers again, because their rates are so very, very high there, and again their vaccine take-up is actually poorer than it is here in the Netherlands. So I think they're down at about 12% or something. Anyway, I'm on my return leg coming into the World Forum area. These are the ICC buildings. It's not the main complex, that's a little bit further out in the dunes. That's the International Criminal Court. So that's the original court that came from the original Nuremberg trials at the end of World War II for war crimes, and they still occasionally have, well, they still try very high level war crimes offenders in there. So you can see some of the stalls, like the flower stalls, are opening up. As I said, the shops you can only go into 2 at a time, you have to book, and then some shops do quite nice things, like they do picnic boxes, so you can go in there and pick up a picnic, because obviously you can't eat inside. So you can go off down the beach or find a park bench and have a bit of a picnic with your family. And the ice cream shop opposite us, despite the temperatures, I mean it was obviously balmy last week, but has stayed open all winter, and normally it closes. So I'm pretty convinced what's happening there is it was a place to go to, or it was a food shop, so it could stay open. And so I think it was a place for families to go to. It just kept going, which is amazing. Right the way through the winter, right through all the cold spells, there'll be queues up around this corner. So you know, you obviously have one group in at a time. And yeah, so there we go. Back on the Fred, and gonna have a nice breakfast, as I mentioned earlier.